Robert De Niro, a name synonymous with method acting, unforgettable roles, and an almost mythical presence in Hollywood. But behind the stoic expression and iconic filmography, there is a much darker, more complex story that has remained hidden for decades. Today, we're unraveling the guarded secrets of one of the world's most private stars. Secrets so carefully buried that even his closest friends were unaware of them. What could he possibly be hiding? Buckle up, because this is a tale of childhood trauma, obsession, mafia ties, secret scandals, and a life forever marred by the ghosts of his past. The tortured upbringing. Robert De Niro was born in 1943 in the bohemian Greenwich Village neighborhood of Manhattan, New York. His mother, Virginia Admiral, was an artist who had her own battles with mental health, and his father, Robert De Niro Sr., was a highly regarded painter. But beneath their outwardly intellectual, artistic lifestyle lay a dark undercurrent. De Niro's father had a secret that would shape young Robert's life forever. Robert De Niro Sr. was a closeted gay man struggling to find acceptance in the rigid 1950s. His sexual identity was a source of pain, confusion, and frustration, creating a home environment that was tense and conflicted. His parents' marriage fell apart when De Niro was just 2 years old, leaving his mother to raise him on her own. But his father's presence, or lack thereof, continued to loom large over his childhood. The separation marked the beginning of a lifelong distance between father and son. De Niro Sr.'s sexual identity remained hidden from the public, but within the family, it was a point of tension, isolation, and resentment. This created a deep rift within the family. De Niro, a sensitive and introspective child, grew up confused and often isolated. He was torn between wanting to understand his father's world and feeling abandoned by it. He had no stable father figure to look up to, and his mother, immersed in her own struggles, was distant. De Niro has rarely spoken about these years, but those close to him knew how deeply this shaped his emotional outlook on life. This would later become a driving force behind his need to control every aspect of his career and personal life. Friends who knew him as a teenager describe a young man obsessed with self-control, avoiding alcohol, drugs, and the typical vices of youth. But this wasn't out of discipline or piety. Instead, it was because he feared becoming emotionally vulnerable, just like his father. De Niro sought to mask this fear through his art, using acting as both a refuge and a form of rebellion. Each role became an outlet for the pain and resentment he felt towards his parents, a form of emotional release that was simultaneously therapeutic and destructive. Method acting or madness. As De Niro began his acting career, he found solace in the world of method acting, pioneered by Lee Strasberg and the Actors Studio. This approach became his obsession, a way to not just play a role, but become it. He immersed himself so deeply into his characters that friends worried he was losing touch with reality. His performance as Johnny Boy in Martin Scorsese's Mean Streets was the first sign of his descent into character. To prepare for the role, De Niro hung out with petty criminals and street thugs in New York's Little Italy. He absorbed their mannerisms, their way of speaking, and even their paranoia. He began adopting the persona of Johnny Boy in his day-to-day interactions, making those around him uncomfortable. He didn't just want to play a criminal, he had to feel like one. But this was just a taste of the extremes he would go to. For Taxi Driver, De Niro took method acting to an unprecedented level. He didn't just shadow cab drivers, he became one. He obtained a taxi driver's license and drove the gritty streets of New York for over a month, working grueling 12-hour shifts, often in the most dangerous parts of the city. Late at night, he picked up every type of passenger: drunks, drug dealers, prostitutes, and thugs. During this time, he even had a few close encounters with violent criminals, but he kept going, pushing himself further and further. Friends said De Niro would return home with bloodshot eyes and bruises on his hands. One evening, he was caught in the crossfire of a street brawl in Harlem and barely escaped unscathed. He never broke character, never revealed who he was, and refused to quit. Even more disturbing were the rumors that he began experimenting with real firearms to better understand Travis Bickle's obsession with violence. While these claims have never been confirmed, De Niro's own admission that he was borderline psychotic during the film's production lends credence to the whispers. Raging Bull. Art or self-destruction? When De Niro landed the role of Jake LaMotta in Raging Bull, he saw it as a chance to create a cinematic masterpiece. But what he subjected himself to in the name of authenticity bordered on the insane. To capture LaMotta's brutal rise and fall, De Niro not only gained 60 pounds, he lived with LaMotta, mimicking his every move, even adopting his toxic relationships and violent outbursts. During filming, the line between De Niro and LaMotta began to blur. He took boxing lessons for over a year, stepping into the ring against real fighters. De Niro's trainer, legendary boxing coach Jimmy Gambino, later revealed that De Niro broke 2 ribs during a sparring session, but refused to take time off. He was determined to feel the pain and exhaustion that LaMotta experienced. The physical transformation was grueling, but it was the psychological toll that was the most damaging. LaMotta, known for his rage and jealousy, began to seep into De Niro's personal life. Cast and crew reported seeing De Niro lash out at his then-girlfriend in ways that seemed eerily similar to LaMotta's on-screen behavior. He became possessive, irritable, and obsessed with control. After filming Wrapped, De Niro struggled for months to distance himself from the character, often retreating into isolation. It was as if the role had taken a part of his soul, a part that he would never fully reclaim. Many close to him believed that De Niro's intense method acting left him emotionally scarred, permanently altering his personality. But that wasn't the worst of it. Raging Bull set the stage for the most dangerous chapter in his life, the one involving real-life mafia figures. Entangled with the Mafia. De Niro's connection with the mob wasn't just a matter of research. For his roles in The Godfather Part 2 and Goodfellas, De Niro sought authenticity by mingling with actual mafia members. But this wasn't a casual flirtation with the criminal underworld. It became a dangerous obsession. Through Roy Cohn, a powerful attorney with deep mafia ties, De Niro was introduced to several notorious crime bosses, including members of the Gambino and Genovese crime families. De Niro would spend nights in the back rooms of social clubs, watching and learning the body language, speech patterns, and behavior of these men. It wasn't long before he earned their respect, but also their suspicion. It's said that some of these figures began treating De Niro as one of their own, confiding in him about internal disputes and even business dealings. This raised red flags with federal authorities. According to reports that surfaced decades later, De Niro was under FBI surveillance for a period during the late 1970s and early 1980s, suspected of having knowledge of illegal activities. The Bureau never found enough evidence to pursue charges, but De Niro's reputation was forever tainted. The truth is, De Niro had stepped too close to the edge. Some even claim that his deep immersion in the mafia world was more than just research, that it crossed over into collaboration. Though never proven, rumors have circulated for years that De Niro's ability to secure financing for some of his early films came from questionable sources, possibly linked to organized crime. Personal scandals and career crises. The public image of Robert De Niro as a serious, dedicated actor began to unravel in the 21st century. The assistant lawsuit in 2019 painted a picture of a controlling, verbally abusive man. Details emerged of his explosive temper, his unreasonable demands, and a pattern of belittling those around him. In one audio clip, he is heard shouting expletives at his assistant for a minor mistake, something completely out of character from the composed public figure he presented. Then, his high-profile divorce from Grace Hightower threw his finances into chaos. Court documents revealed that De Niro was struggling to maintain his lifestyle, a fact that shocked fans given his extensive filmography and supposed wealth. Some speculated that he had hidden debts, possibly linked to gambling losses or poor business investments. The financial strain seemed out of place for a man who had dominated Hollywood for decades, hinting at deeper issues beneath the surface. From a broken childhood to dangerous method acting, from mafia entanglements to personal scandals, Robert De Niro's life is a testament to the lengths one man will go to achieve greatness, and the cost of holding on to painful secrets. As Hollywood's most enigmatic star opens up, it becomes clear that the Robert De Niro we see on screen is only a small part of a much darker, more complicated story. How many more secrets lie hidden in his past? Only time will tell.